Some argue that embedded insurance is the death of traditional insurance. We're not sure, but embedded insurance certainly introduces new challenges and opportunities for insurers, including a completely different customer interaction model and monetization. So, what are the success factors for insurers to turn embedded insurance into a new area of growth? How can insurers prevent their brand becoming invisible to customers? How should insurers work with new distribution partners such as retailers, platform players and leading brands in totally different industries? In the next 30 minutes, Yuri Poletto, founder of the Open and Embedded Insurance Observatory, together with other trailblazers, will discuss the state of the art and share their vision on the future of embedded insurers. Curious, is it really the death of traditional insurance?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Yuri Poletto, founder and director of the Open Embedded Insurance Observatory, and I am very happy today to have this talk with those three persons. So I will, the format is a talk, so I will do one by one, a conversation one by one with the three of them. I will let them introduce themselves. So we start with Ruth Polyblanc for Mastercard. Ruth, please introduce yourself and then we can start.
Great, thanks Yuri. Good morning everyone, my name is Ruth. I lead the global insurance vertical at Mastercard and we are tasked with creating partnerships that create transformative change in the insurance industry. And just in terms of credentials, I joined Mastercard having spent prior 22 years in insurance. So very pleased to be here.
That's great, thank you Ruth. So, embedded insurance represents certainly a big, maybe huge distribution opportunity. Someone predicts that embedded insurance will worth $3 trillion, somebody else say 5, others say 7. We have given our numbers as an observatory, we've been required to do that, but actually we are aware that it is very complicated to give a number, to give a possible size to the embedded insurance market of its potential. But numbers apart, the whole industry agrees on the fact that embedded insurance today represents the growth opportunity for an industry that in the latest years have struggled to grow below the inflation rate. So, Ruth, I know you have a clear view of the vertical markets where embedded insurance can play a role, can be a perfect fit, so I would love to hear your view about this.
So I think when it comes to embedded insurance, it's very easy to forget the purpose, you know, what we're actually trying to achieve with insurance. And going back to that, insurance is about resiliency and de-risking activities for individuals or businesses. And so it's slightly dangerous to look at embedded insurance as a series of verticals because you're only then tasked with selling insurance into those verticals. Actually, by stepping back and looking at the broader context of embedded, there are lots of other use cases or verticals that massively benefit from contextualizing insurance. And some examples of those sorts of things are, you know, beyond extended warranties at point of sale. But if we look at sort of citizens facing climate change and natural catastrophes, many cities around the world have program schemes, cards, that they offer to citizens, and by creating sort of embedded insurance solutions, parametric insurance potentially, that deliver monies to individuals at the point of those impacts to get a better outcome for them, to improve loss ratios, to build financial resiliency. You know, unfortunately, we are seeing greater frequency and propensity of natural catastrophes and other types of disasters, a rise in cyber incidents. And so embedding insurance, you know, it's not just about putting it into a buying platform, it's about contextualizing it in lots of different scenarios. And we're also really interested in how it can drive behaviors, not just in the face of disaster, but again, climate change means that we need to be more considerate of sustainability and sustainable practices. And so if we look at the broad sharing economy, I think I've gone off there. If you look at the sharing economy, by being able to de-risk the sharing and utilization of goods and services, and crowdsourcing. By de-risking those opportunities, it means that we use fewer resources. And so I think embedded insurance has a role to play in those areas also.
Yeah, it's very interesting, particularly for the gig economy world, for example. Embedded insurance represents two opportunities. One, regarding, for example, the drivers of gig economy platforms, and the other one that is represented by the customers of the platform. No? So this is also another interesting angle to look at it.
Yeah.
But embedded insurance represents for sure a big distribution opportunity, but it's not just a distribution game. There are many other things involved, many other areas where embedded insurance can improve the way insurers do the insurers, and platforms, distributors, data companies that do their job. So what do you think about these other potential roles that embedded insurance can play, other areas of value for embedded insurance?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, that as insurance organizations, customer acquisition and distribution is key. You know, we don't have anything if we can't reach our customers and markets. So I absolutely understand why embedded insurance is hailed as the next big change in distribution. But if we look back historically, I'm old enough to remember when bank assurance was the next big thing. And I haven't seen that pan out to the same degree that it ought to have done. And I think the issue for that is that it wasn't done well enough in most instances. And there are some great bank assurance opportunities. But, you know, if we simply look at embedded insurance as another distribution or distribution plus, it simply won't work. We have to change everything behind it as well, and make it work for the customers and get those better outcomes. And also elongate embedded insurance, not just to the point of acquisition, but it has to run all the way through the claims experience as well. There's a massive role for data in this. You know, if embedded insurance is simply me accessing an insurance solution within another tenancy or another website or buying behavior, or if I'm offered travel insurance on one flight booking 4, 5, 6 times, it's simply not going to work. So by use of really, really smart data and building out a full end-to-end experience, we could see embedded being the next big distribution opportunity. But again, it's how you execute on that, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, another insight, another thing that I consider interesting, always talking about beyond the distribution. Just think to affinity distribution. In the past, also currently, we often have affinity distribution that actually is not affinity at all. So we can have, a retailer that offer policies to its customers, and that's considered affinity. But that retailer can have among its customers a roofer, a lawyer, a clerk, people that do not have any affinity in terms of risk profiles. So this is another area where embedded insurance can play a role, because thanks to the integrations that you can have with the distributors, you can better profile the customers and also offer them more tailored products based on their real risk profiles. So this is another angle to look at this thing beyond the pure distribution opportunity. So we have talked about opportunities, but obviously as a new model, even if it's not new, but just a thing that is done in a new way with new technologies, but as a new model, embedded insurance also presents challenges and risks. So what do you think are the areas that can block or somehow create problems about embedded?
So I think just going back to your previous point on affinity as well, and it's a challenge as well. I don't think insurance organizations can do this on their own. So to create that phenomenal experience and to bring in the data, most insurance organizations have data capabilities, but not at the level that they'll need to make embedded work. So I think one of the challenges, can we partner to build out these solutions end-to-end to make them work and relevant? And also, we mustn't shoehorn existing insurances into this new distribution opportunity. So it's going to require a redesign of insurance that is fit for purpose. So using data, using customer insights to really build out solutions which are pragmatic and de-risk to the point that the customer is happy, rather than pulling out previous policy wordings and marking them up, redlining them to distribute. So I think the key thing is, around partnerships, about redesigning insurance so that it's relevant and fit for purpose. And then, of course, it comes down to the execution. Can we really deliver completely seamless end-to-end insurance that doesn't feel like a customer has bought insurance, but at the same time has the outcome that they have that resiliency that they really want?
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you very much. Irene, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Irene van der Brink from Booking.com. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Very nice to be here. My name is Irene van den Brink. I joined Booking in November last year, so relatively new. I've been working in the digital insurance space since 2011, working for a digital insurer, working for an insurtech company. So I've seen, let's say, many different elements, and now I am responsible for the partnerships and the commercial growth of insurance at Booking.com. And before we start, Yuri, I would love to know if you knew before coming here that Booking offers insurance. So who knew by raising hands? Okay, good. Good to know. We've got some work to do, but I'm positively surprised that you knew. Good.
So, Irene, embedded insurance is for sure one interpretation of embedded insurance is an add-on to another product or service. But it's not just about that. Today we see that through insurance coverages, insurance services, you can also build new value propositions, with or without insurance at its core, but with insurance as a component. So I know that you have a very interesting point of view about this. Can you tell us something?
Yeah, sure. So today and yesterday, I heard a lot about embedded insurance, and I'm happy to hear that, let's say, the overall message is that embedded insurance is, one of the big growth areas, so that's good for us. I do find it interesting that there's different ways of looking at embedded insurance. As I said, I worked also for insurance companies, so I know how we looked at it from that point of view, as to see it as an additional sales channel, and that's still what I experience a lot today. But for us, for Booking.com, our core business is travel. So we care, as a company, we care most about enabling people to go on a trip, to book a flight, to book a hotel, to rent a car. And we use insurance to improve that experience should something go wrong. But our core offer will always be travel. So I think in that sense, sometimes there's a mixed view. If an insurance company purely sees us as a sales channel, which I understand, because for some part we are, for us, it is about how can we add most value to our customers. So how can we add insurance in such a way that it's super easy to buy, to make sure that people don't forget about it? Because I'm from the Netherlands. We buy insurance for everything. So a lot of Dutch people have insurance, travel insurance, annually, etc. In a lot of other countries, it's not the case, and people sometimes simply forget about it. So if as Booking, we can make those people aware of buying insurance and why they need it, I think that's a big step that we can take. But it's not about just a sales channel, it's also about what happens if something goes wrong. And that's maybe even more important to us, because we're not there just to sort of compensate for the financial loss. We also want to make sure that they still have their travel experience like they should have. So for us, it's also about finding ways to add services that, should something go wrong, that we help them to continue their trip, to get compensation, to get help, etc. As I said, we work with partners. It's sometimes hard to talk about that whole concept, because not one partner can offer everything. And it's also important to us to work with those partners who can help us and who can look at these kind of issues or events as an opportunity and not as, ooh, that's bad, or there has a big risk for fraud. No, it's a way for us to help our clients. So I think when you talk about embedded, the key to me is don't see it just as, if you're an insurance company, don't see it just as a channel to sell your product. See it as a way to truly add value, also because you have a lot of data that is available.
Thank you, Irene. And talking of beyond the distribution, beyond just offering an add-on, data play a very important role in enabling new models, new value propositions. We know that data sharing is reality in the banking industry. It looks like maybe in the early future it could be a reality also for insurance. What opportunities do you see in this area about data sharing between the distributors and the insurance providers?
So data is a very interesting topic because it is key to what all of us do, right? And I think with today's technology and with a lot of things being digital, we have more data than we ever imagined. If you add Booking.com's, let's say, travel data to it, you've got even more data that you can dream of. But it doesn't mean that we can share all the data. So when we work with partners, we often get questions from the insurer like, oh, I need all your data. I need to know exactly who travels without, of course, the personal information, but what are the numbers that you make, how many bookings do you have, those kind of things. We can't share all that data because we're a different company. We have different shareholders, different perspectives, etc. But we need to find a way, and the same goes for the insurance companies that we work with or the insurtechs that we work with. So we need to find a way, and we're not there yet, to combine that data in such a way that we can indeed benefit and that we can personalize the offering to our clients in the best way possible without harming GDPR, without harming our individual companies' objectives and perspectives. And it's not an easy task. So if anyone has an idea or has some good experiences, I'm very open to learn from that. Because there is so much data available and it's about finding the right balance. And sometimes having more data is not, it doesn't make it easier. Like, for example, if you look at travel insurance, most insurance companies, they know that you're traveling from the 1st until the 15th of August, for example. That's all they know. But we also know where they go, which hotels they book, if they have a flight, etc. You would think that is very helpful and beneficial, but it also leads to, let's say, conversations and discussions with the risk carriers that we have on, ooh, the fact that they have this combination, does it then, increase the risk of something happening? And how do we know if this is the flight they take, it is the first flight they take, for example? Whereas if you're an insurance company, you have no idea, and still you are able to insure the risk. So data is great, but we're at the starting point on how to use it best for our customers, because I think that's the most important thing about data.
Thank you, Irene. And we are in an age where we see that the border between industries are becoming blurry. So we see non-financial companies offering financial services, offering insurance. And this is happening also in the embedded insurance value chain, where we see non-insurance companies that want to offer embedded insurance and that are becoming brokers themselves, MGAs, sometimes insurers. So this is what is happening. We are registering it with our researches, and we believe that this will accelerate in the future. So this is an important change in the industry, but we see that the insurance industry maybe is not fully ready to it. So for example, in one of our last researches, we registered that only 15% of the insurance providers let their distribution partner to adapt the pricing of a policy based on the customer attributes. So what's your view about this? What do you think should happen next to accelerate and to make the partnership more working better?
So I think the examples and the numbers you gave prove that there's different ways of working together. When you talk about embedded insurance, as an insurance company, you always work together with another brand, another type of company. Not every company is the same, and not every company has set up insurance in the same way. At Booking.com, we do insurance for car rentals since 2016. We started off having our own carrier. We now moved to having partners, and we introduced travel insurance last year. We are fully licensed in Europe and fully licensed in the US. So that means that the need that we have in these two continents is very different to the needs that we have in other parts of the world. That also means that if we search for partners and if we work with partners, we have different needs and different objectives. And what I started my first point with was about the services that we want to add, etc. So you can imagine that topics like claims are super important for us. And in some cases, we truly believe we can better do the claims handling ourselves, which is not always something an insurance company wants, for example. So if we have conversations with companies, we always have to talk about what is your role, what is our role. And even if you have it agreed, it's sometimes hard if you're actually working together. So I always talk about swimming lanes, because basically if you agree to have a certain partnership, you agree to stay or to have your own swimming lane. But it's so tempting to use the swimming lane of the other person. We do it, the insurer does it. I guess it shows like the enthusiasm we all have for embedded and making it work for the customer. But it is sometimes hard, and I think the best thing we can all do is to be flexible and be willing to change, because I think this is changing and will be changing even more in the years to come. So in that sense, it's an exciting journey to be part of.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Irene. Stefano, welcome with us. Please feel free to introduce yourself, even if I'm sure that 99%
I'm not
already familiar with you.
Can you hear me? Yes. No, I'm Stefano. I take care of business development, partnership and innovation for Generali Group. I'm based in Milan. I'm in the insurance industry since 10 years, and I was in banking, investment banking, consulting before.
Thank you. And Stefano, you work for Generali, and Generali is a company that, if I'm not wrong, was established in 1831, correct?
Yep, correct.
So, solid company, one of the leading insurance players in Europe, but it's also a very innovative company. Generali has been the first company to launch a direct insurance company in Italy 30 years ago. So now embedded insurance, what's in for Generali about embedded insurance? Where's the opportunity?
So thank you for, let's say, recognizing the fact that Generali is an innovative company, and you won't expect from a 192-year-old company, no? Oftentimes. In the last 6 years, we have tried to reposition, if I may say so, no? the innovability of Generali in the market. We weren't perceived that innovative, even though we have always been pretty innovative, and I'm not doing propaganda here. I really believe what I'm saying. The third pillar of our strategic plan is innovation and digital transformation. Within that pillar, where we allocated more than 1 billion and 100 million investments over the 3-year cycle, so it's real money, it's sort of market making in terms of IT investments for Europe at least. We also included a specific point on scaling up our direct operation and growing in the embedded insurance, or we call it B2B2C on partnerships, because embedded insurance, it depends, no? And we've been discussing about this in other panels, what you exactly define embedded insurance. But going back to the title that you see on the screen, no, it's not the death of traditional insurance, for sure. Our belief, at least, is that agents and brokers are here to stay. They are a fundamental way to sell and serve customers. Not all risks are the same, not all line of business are the same, but as Ruth said before, embedded insurance is the new bancassurance somehow, no? So what 80s and 90s have shown us, and what we have learned from that period of the history, of the insurance history, is sort of repeating cyclically now with this embedded insurance and with other distributors that are not only distributors, and I fully agree with what you said. We see most of the growth in the P&C space coming from embedded insurance and partnerships. It's most likely in mature markets the only growth engine. I don't think there's going to be much more growth if you isolate the effect of the inflation. I'm not a true believer of the numbers you mentioned before, Yuri. No? So the 5 trillion, 3 trillion, yesterday McKinsey was saying 900 billion. Whatever the numbers, and I always repeat it in my, let's say, public appearances, the growth is coming from there. If you break it down, mobility, no motor, etc., that's where you get some percentage point of growth. But do we believe this is going to be the future, the bulk, the majority of the insurance premium in the next 10 years? No. I mean, the majority, let's say, the market is still going to be made by traditional distributors. Here, there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of growth. We definitely have to, say, put ourselves in our distributor shoes and do our best to become very relevant in this, say, new business model. It's not only a distribution channel, I want to repeat this, but it's still going to be a relatively residual for a while.
Thank you, Stefano. And do you feel that embedded insurance is already delivering value? What do you think is the time frame for the embedded insurance making a difference?
So it's two different questions. I'll try to be quick because I'm conscious of time. Is delivering value? Yes. It's difficult to say because, you know, it's a new concept. Now it's a few years we're talking on these stages of embedded insurance, but it's been peculiar years. We had COVID, and then there's been a war, and now we are in hyperinflation in most markets. So it's difficult to say, you know, and isolate all the effects and sort of multivariance analysis and say, yes, embedded insurance is valuable or not. That said, our partnerships, and we are very selective, even because we cannot do many things together, and we're not fit for purpose, and I agree with what you said before. Oftentimes, we can do it alone. But some of our partnerships, I'm thinking about some big ones in the mobility space where we have north of 200 million premium with one single partner, or even, you know, smaller partnerships we have started more recently on the retail, on home, etc. They are profitable. So having a combined ratio in the area of, let's say, 87 to 95, 96, 97, depending on the year percent, to me it's good. I mean, to me it's the demonstration that despite a new business model, despite investments that you need to amortize, etc., it can still be done profitably. Then there's some tails, let's say, because there's some products that are particular and you have like a 30% cost ratio and maybe a very low loss ratio, and I mean that's, let's say, exceptions to the normal distribution, but I think the numbers I said before are more or less the standard. Regarding the time frame, it's a very difficult transformation. I think like our bet in Generali at least is it's going to take another 5 to 10 years. Insurtechs are pushing a lot and are doing great work. Some of them have finally developed pretty solid platforms and almost full stack. But it's so difficult, and understanding the partner, and I'm saying partner and not distributor, not by chance, needs, and, you know, fitting your traditional legacy system and your process to fit their needs. It's something that takes a lot of time, a lot of change management. It's not that, you know, you plug a piece of technology and tomorrow you're able to do that. And it's taking time. And I think, I mean, we are, as I said the other day during the Observatory, we're trying to internalize part of those, say, coverage of the value chain. We want to keep part of the value for ourselves, of course. And I think we are big enough to do it. But it's taking so much time. And in this, let's say, vacancy, we're partnering a lot with insurtechs, with TPAs, and with brokers that have, you know, been running a bit quicker than us, in all honesty, than us, talking in general of the primary insurer carriers. And, you know, this, I think, is helping to grow the market, but till the primary insurers will be really, let's say, wired around this problem and fit for purpose, it will take a few years, but that's the moment where you're going to see the spike, because when everybody's going to be ready, I think it's going to become like bancassurance, sort of normality.
Yeah, completely agree. And you have introduced the topic of the last question, that is embedded insurance is not a one company show, it's a partnership game.
Yeah.
We have, I think, a beautiful example here with the 3 companies playing in 3 different industries, everyone talking about embedded insurance. So what do a company like Generali look at when assessing a new opportunity in embedded insurance?
Telegraphically, in 30 seconds, let's see if I can do it. So we look for partnerships. The truth is, and I'll be blunt here, we hate the procurement-based approach that we oftentimes are invited in. No? So when there's maybe a big partner coming out and say, we would like to do this, this is the RFI, you have 3 weeks, come back to us. That's not a partnership. Frankly speaking, we are incentivized to make GWP, so I'll do my best to put a bet there, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for partnerships. We have many, I could tell, but out of time. So we are looking for, a partner that really understands what you can bring to them, that understands insurance, which is not always the case, I must admit, and with which you build something that also in terms of time plan allows both parties to align and develop something together, because it's not, again, clicking a button and then you're ready and you have the insurance program up there, because then you see the attach rate is low and customers are not happy. And remember, I think some of you said it before, the moment of truth is the claim. The claim is a bad moment of truth. It's not a happy moment for the customer, and that's when you measure if what you did makes sense or not. And in order to get it right, you need time. So I don't know if I replied, but we are too much out of time, so I will stop here.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for your time.